Today's video is going to be a complete guide on how to begin neck training when you are a complete beginner. I'll tell you what to do, I'll tell you how much to do, I'll tell you when to do it, and I'll give you a complete neck training program. The reason I have all of this information for beginners is because that until very recently, I had never trained my neck before. And as you can tell by the pencil neck that this little head is resting on, I still need to train it a lot more. But believe it or not, this little pencil neck is a thicker pencil neck than it was just 6 weeks ago. After 7.5 years of training, I wanted to give neck training a try. When gains slow down so much elsewhere, you just want to take whatever you can get, and this felt like untapped potential. The thing is though, I think that neck training is kind of the hardest thing to begin training because it just feels inherently dangerous. Like, it's your neck, man. It's your neck. That sounds dangerous. It sounds dangerous, but it's not. It's actually very, very safe. But it still feels like you're doing something wrong when you first start. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is exercises, and there are essentially 3 aspects to training your neck. You've got neck flexion, which is going to be bringing your chin into your body. You've got neck extension, which is the reverse of that. And then you've got the lateral flexion, side to side. Personally, I think that weight training specifically for hypertrophy, the lateral movements are just unnecessary. You're not going to build much size that way. If you're training for MMA or boxing, then yes, absolutely, something like that. But for our purposes, I think it's unnecessary. So that leaves us with flexion and extension. Flexions are super easy to perform in any gym. You just lay back, put a plate on your head and let your neck do all of the work. The only thing you've got to be really careful of is not letting your hands take over and lift the weight for you. So you've got to use them just to very, very gently hold the weight onto your neck. You lean your chin back all the way back for a big stretch down the neck, and then you drive back up, actually pushing into the weight, not lifting the weight with your hands. Neck flexions, on the other hand, are much more awkward to do in a gym, and I would recommend buying yourself a neck harness so you can get that extension on a weight, and then you can then use it with plates, you can use it with cables, you can use it with bands. It opens up all these variations. So flexions are easy in the gym, extensions, I'd probably get yourself a harness. So now we've got our exercises in place, we need to talk about programming, and this can break down into a couple of key areas. You've got training frequency, training intensity, training volume, rep ranges, and then exercise rotation. Starting with training frequency, the neck, just like the biceps, the delts, the abs, the calves, the rear delts, for most people, you can train them super often, almost daily for most people. However, we don't want to start from 0 to 100 training every single day of the neck, because then that will be dangerous. So instead, we're going to be starting by training your neck 3 days per week, which for the neck is low frequency. If it was your quads, that'd be high, but for your neck, 3 days a week is low. Ideally, this would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, something like that. Then with training intensity, just like the frequency, we don't want to go from 0 to 100. So we're going to start on the easier side for sure. Start around 5 reps in reserve, a 5 RPE, which is super easy. But remember, you've never done this before, so anything you do is stimulative. Each week, you're going to be adding reps, adding weight, adding reps. So very quickly, the intensity will build up. And when you've built up some endurance and some capacity for intensity within your neck, you will be training to failure every session, because that is the way for neck growth, in my opinion, not leaving reps in reserve, but start off easy, that is key. Then on to exercise rotation throughout the week, and I like to bias my training in favor of neck flexions, because I feel like that is where you're going to get the bulk of your hypertrophy, but we also want to get some extension in there as well, so I do it at a 2-to-1 ratio. So that means for 3 sessions a week, you'd be doing 2 flexion days, 1 extension day. For 6 days a week, you'd be doing 4 and 2, and so on. Then training volume, and this is a super important one because it is one of the main aspects of your training, and we are literally going to start with just 1 set per session. Again, remember, you're doing 0, going to 1 is a huge increase. 1 set, 3 days a week, 3 sets per week. Absolutely nothing, but it's enough when you first start. Obviously, this will very quickly ramp up, but to begin with, this is where you're starting. And then lastly, rep ranges. I have personally found the neck to respond really well to a large variety of rep ranges. Basically anything from 8 to 30 reps has been really good for my neck training. So to break this down, you're going to start with 1 day around 8 to 12 reps, 1 day 12 to 20, and the third day being 20 to 30. Simple. And before we talk about progressing, there's one last thing to touch on, and that is rest periods. The neck does not require a lot of rest between sets at all. You are not doing a set of neck curls and then resting for 3 minutes like you would do for your squats. Nobody is out of breath from training their neck. Nobody is huffing and puffing and tired from neck training, or they shouldn't be. So basically, 20 to 30 seconds tops, and you can get into another set again. Yes, you're going to have a lot of rep drop off. You might go 28, 20, 15, 14, but that's absolutely fine, provided they are all close enough to failure. They will still be massively stimulative for hypertrophy. Now, progression. As you saw, we started off very, very gentle, very low volume, easy sets of 5 reps in reserve, low frequency, easy stuff. But that won't last long, because to begin with, every session you're going to progress the sessions you are already doing. Every session you are going to add a rep from what you did last time, and if in the next session your neck has no soreness and you're performing absolutely fine, you're going to add 1 set to that session. So if last week you did 17 reps, this week you're going to do 18 reps. No more than 18 reps, but no less than 18 reps either. And eventually you'll hit the top of your rep range. So a 12 to 20 rep day, you're going to then go to 18, 19, 20 over the weeks. Once you hit the top end of that rep range, you increase the weight on your head for your flexions and extensions, and then you drop back down and you repeat that process for there. This is called double progression, and then we're going to make it a triple progression by also adding in that volume. So when you aren't sore, you add a set. Every single time you aren't sore, you continue adding sets up until the point you are doing 6 sets 3 days per week. When you've got your 3 sessions at 6 sets per week, at that point, you add 1 day of training, so you are now doing 4 sessions per week. However, you aren't going to keep those other sessions at 6 sets. You're now going to bring all of your sessions down to 4 sets. So you've gone from doing 18 sets per week, 6, 6, and 6, to now 4, 4, 4, and 4, 16 sets. Slightly less sets, but more frequency and more volume that way throughout the week. Then you repeat the same thing. Every time you're not sore, every time you're recovering and performing absolutely fine, you add a set, build it up to 6 sets for all 4 sessions. Then you add a day, drop the sets down, and you keep repeating all the way up until you're training your neck 6 days per week, 6 sets per day, 36 sets of neck training per week. That is a lot of volume, but the neck can handle it. Yes, that is a lot of volume, but remember, this is all auto-regulated by your own recovery. Just because with this program, you can get to 6 days a week, 6 sets per day, 36 sets per week. Just because you can get there, it doesn't mean you will. Some people will never get past 3 sets a day 3 times per week. Some people will very quickly get to that end point, and most people will be somewhat in the middle. This is auto-regulated by your own soreness, recovery, and performance within your sessions. So this should all sound pretty good and pretty simple, but what does it look like in practice? Well, like I said, you're going to start with a flexion and extension of 2 to 1. So that would look like a Monday of neck flexions at 1 set of 8 to 12 reps. Wednesday can be our neck extension day, 12 to 20 reps. Friday, neck curls again in 20 to 30 rep range. Then once you've scaled up to your 6 sets per day, you add your 4th day, and that would look exactly the same for Monday and Wednesday. Friday, we're going to drop that rep range for your neck curls down to 12 to 20, and we're adding in a Saturday with that 20 to 30 rep range again in your neck curls, so you're getting all of your bases covered now. You can then continue scaling that up on each day as you go from 4, 5, and 6, and I'll put in the description exactly what that can look like for each of those days. So that is the program, but there are some very important things to remember. Please remember, the goal of this is not to get to 6 sets per day, 6 days per week. The goal of this is to get adequate stimulus to grow your neck muscles. You only add days or sets when your performance, your recovery tells you that you can. Some of you will never hit 4 days per week. Some of you will fly through to 6 days, but there is no rush to get there. In an ideal world, you would never have to add any sets or any days, and you would just do 1 set 3 days a week forever, because that means you are making amazing gains doing very, very little work, and that is the ideal situation. There is no prize for doing more. So stop having an ego around how many times you lift your neck up and down, and instead focus on the stimulus proxies that I've given you. Also remember that the actual quality of the sets you do is so much more important than how many you are doing. Remember that rest periods only need to be 20 to 30 seconds. So yes, you're doing a lot of sets every day maybe, but it will only take you a couple of minutes because of those short rest periods. And remember that getting stronger with your neck exercises will be a byproduct of getting bigger. So don't chase the strength and ego lift. Let the strength come to you. You just focus on the quality of the contractions that you're getting. If you chase strength and ego lift, this is your neck. You'll snap your shit up and die. Maybe. So, there's the program. There is the guide. Give it a try if you want to join that thick boy neck revelation. Support the channel by leaving a thumbs up and leaving a comment of your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It is always very, very much appreciated. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later, guys.